Here. Member Brennan? Vice Chairman Shula? Chairman Larson?
Present. The emergency evacuation plan in the rear of the building, left and right, 2 exit doors. Have a motion for the meeting minutes from April 3rd be accepted.
I'll make the motion.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded. Clerk, can we take the roll?
Member Grenier? Yes. Member Brennan?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Shula? Chairman Larson?
Yes.
4 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Next item on the agenda is public comment on docketed items only. We are going to follow the policy of a 4-minute time limit on public comment. Is there anybody in the room that has public comment? Cody, is there anybody on Zoom? Anybody on Zoom? Public comment on docketed items? No one once? Twice? Gone. Public comment has ended. New business. Our bylaws state we have an annual meeting and election of officers in July. We need to set that date. We have July 30th as a scheduled meeting date. We have a motion that we use that date for annual meeting.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Comment? Can you take the roll on that?
Member Grenier? Yes. Member Brennan?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Shula? Chairman Larson?
Yes.
4 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, was that July 8th?
July 30th is when we
30th.
have our scheduled meeting, so we'll do it that
In-
evening.
And that's 5:15?
Correct.
Thank you.
Next item, 5.2, Angel Law Letter of Engagement. Pardon me? Yeah. Attorney Angel?
As I had indicated in my email to the agency members, there's a lot of material there. The letter of engagement that's been proposed is really a variation of every letter of engagement that the firm uses and is very similar and tracks with what is presently in place with the town. Nevertheless, I also provided the agency members with the 10-page memorandum that the council permitted to be published relative to Rule 1.6 of the Rules of Professional Conduct with respect to matters that are attorney-client privilege, which necessarily includes certain aspects of billing statements. So, with respect to the committee, I know, the agency rather, I know that that's a lot of material to consider. And, if you're ready to consider it, that's fine. If you're not, I'm happy to answer those questions at your next meeting.
I'll review with the members' suggestions on how they want to move forward with this information, starting with Bob.
I mean, I received the email, I printed it out, I have not gone through it, and they're not easy documents to assimilate, so I wouldn't mind more time to peruse it.
Vice Chairman?
I read everything. Everything looks fine to me. I have no questions. Feedback.
I haven't had the time to read all of it.
My suggestion is that we move this to the next meeting agenda. Give sufficient time for the members to review and ascertain if there's any questions on that document. Do we need a motion for that?
Yes, it would be a motion to continue to the next agenda. It can go under new business or old business. It doesn't matter.
I'll make the motion to continue to the next meeting.
I'll second.
Motion made, seconded. Any comment?
Member Grenier? Yes. Member Brennan?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Shula?
Yes.
Chairman Larson?
Yes.
4 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Next item, 5.3, the interlocal trust about insurance coverage and the authority to act.
I haven't had a chance to review what the trust had sent to me, so I'd ask that that be placed on the next agenda.
Motion to move 5.3 to the next meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Second,
I'll second.
any questions, concerns, comments? Yes.
Member Grenier?
Yes.
Member Brennan?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Chula?
Yes.
Chairman Larson?
Yes.
4 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Cody, is GZA on? Kevin Williams? Sarah? Rosemary?
Hi, all.
Good to go? Hey, Kevin, welcome.
Thank you.
I believe you have a presentation for us this evening.
We do. We also have another colleague, Rosemary Fusco. I don't know if she can raise her hand.
Cody, is she in as a panelist too? Okay, all set, Kevin.
Okay, great. All right, give me one moment. Let's see. Sharing the right screen. Should be. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about where we're at, present to you some of the information that was requested tonight, which is the basis for the sort of next steps where we're going. So I think Sarah presented to this board, and my apologies for not attending the kickoff meeting. I had been on another project in Providence, a public meeting that night that was critical. But I wanted to also note Rosemary Fusco, who's a key part of the team, local member, and is lead planner on this, along with Sarah, is present tonight. So you'll be hearing from her in the future as a part of the team. So we're basically at this project development stage, but what we had outlined is a simple 4-step process. Kick off the project, develop this sort of outreach plan, launch the project website, small stakeholder meetings, have our advisory meeting, workshop with this board, and we need to discuss that tonight, and then take that information from both individual stakeholders, the CRA, and present a draft boundary for the redevelopment plan to the public for a public workshop, and gain their ideas or concerns, and ultimately distill that into something that we can present to council. They can be voted on and codified. So then we move forward with the plan. All right. So that's the process. And we're basically at the beginning of this phase 2. And what we've done tonight is we have developed a project map at this point to identify several key attributes. One are town lands, so Coventry owned properties, state owned properties, known access points, sort of these other access points that are not, we'll say, actual public mapped known access points, but other potential points that are basically abutting roadways and line segments and street segments that intersect with the reservoir itself. And so we have actually a live map here, and you know, right now this is internal, but this is something ultimately that can be shared with the board, shared with the public. And let me see if I can pull this up. So this is what this map looks like. It's built off the wonderful GIS infrastructure that the town of Coventry has. And basically what you can see here, there's this right of way, you know, street right of way access within 100 feet of kind of the buffer. And by the buffer, we mean this 100-foot edge that sort of, you know, identifies those parcels that abut the pond. And at the north point, there's publicly owned town of Coventry land at this point, and we'll kind of go over it. There's also an additional sort of large segment here off of Old Flat River Road. There's also, you know, this green points are.
Hey, Kevin,
road-
can I stop you right there? I
Yeah.
think, are you looking at a different screen than we are? We're looking at the overall steps for creating a boundary
Oh,
screen.
sorry, for some reason, it's not showing this map, which I have on the same screen. Give me 1 second. Thank you for
Thank you.
letting me know that. I appreciate it. Can you see this now?
Yes, we see that. Thank you.
All right, sorry. So I'm going to kind of go through this, but this application we developed to kind of identify access points, known access points, you know, sort of behind the scenes access points, as well as Coventry and state of Rhode Island owned land. And at the top, you'll see there's this piece up here that's at the end of Hollywood Avenue. And, you know, I'll show some pictures of that. Another fairly sizable parcel off of Flat River Road, which I think there's an application called Kayaker that also shows this as a launch point for kayaks. And I don't think any of these are identified as like state, local, or otherwise identified as park. I think they're just rough and ready, you know. So this is also town of Coventry. You'll see the dam location up here. Basically, this whole parcel in here is town-owned land, which I'll demonstrate as well. And then we were asked to map behind the scenes here with some discussions with some of the members. There's a small condemned parcel here off of Capri Road that's literally like, you know, a small residential parcel. I'll go into that in more detail. And there's also an established sort of parking lot recreational launch in this area. And this is state of Rhode Island near Zeke's Bridge. So those are some of the main points. And the idea here, and let me go back to the PowerPoint. Is to build off of this. And so we have the map. You know, we're started with this preliminary boundary, and the idea is we want to identify, go through this process because this is as part of the state codification or redevelopment area, is to establish the redevelopment area in order to do a plan. And we've identified the best way, the most public way, the most responsible way is bifurcating this into 2 steps, is to get, you know, take this to town council, get it approved, get it amended, and then proceed with the plan. So the step that we want to talk, and actually maybe I'll just discuss this at the end. So part of this process is establishing existing conditions, access points, public land, look at things like transportation access, wetlands, constraints. You know, are we, you know, is a particular parcel that's currently publicly owned, you know, too closely abutting to residential properties where it, you know, it would be problematic to provide additional access? Is a current, you know, are we geographically distributing access points between the northern portions of Johnson Pond, the center, and the southern, you know, to give sort of, uniform public access opportunities. Are there other considerations that limit the feasibility, whether it's complicated site conditions, natural resource conditions, endangered species, any of these types of things will sort of guide A, the concept of the boundary, and B, ultimately where we're looking at potential public amenity enhancements. So just kind of back to giving you a little bit, closer fine-tuned view, and I can zoom in and show you exactly the plot of land we're talking about. But this whole area is the one cleared access behind town DPW. Right now, this is signed no access. I think that's from the previous dam owner. And so, but we also think that there's, our past redevelopment issues and that sort of thing associated with the site. But again, the next step of this is to really look at the constraints. This is a Zeke Bridge site. Again, kind of a grainy site. We have super high resolution photos here that we can look at though. This is the condemned land on the Isle of Capri Road, which is just a formerly residential parcel. There are some abutting docking structures in the riparian area. This is that area I was talking about, the north, and the north portion of the pond. This is also another piece. It's sort of the southern portion of the northern extent. And so the state of Rhode Island, all of this is sort of state land. This is, an access point that directly abuts the pond, that primarily wetlands in that area. And then you can see the Zeke's Bridge location that has parking accommodations. So now the idea tonight is kind of to tour this. And we also want to discuss the website, the domain name. Right now, we're proposing Johnson Pond RP, or redevelopment plan. We could certainly do Johnson's Pond redevelopmentplan.org, but we're going to use that probably in 2 weeks. So we'd be able to, give you a tour of the setup and initial content. We've also provided a preliminary letter to the board and to council, basically identifying the work performed to date and like where we're going. But the idea is we want to take just a preliminary data we have and have a workshop with members of the CRA. This would be ideally kind of a sit down. However, we can accommodate virtual, so we can say, okay, who are the stakeholders that we should be talking about with individually, or in smaller groups before we go to the public. So we have enough information, we have enough idea of the pulls and pushes, of this process. What are access points people commonly use? I do have trail system maps that show kind of, local use from a site called All Trails, that maybe these are sort of quasi access points. Some of them are actually known paths from state and local trailways that are in the area, which there are quite a few of in this area. But the idea is then to take that to the public and say, this is what we're thinking about a boundary. We want to get your ideas on this, and as well identify the vision and the goals for the redevelopment plan. What are the pushes and pulls and concern of the public? But we would like to get the idea of interested parties and important, whether elected or administrative folks in the town that have ideas and considerations that we should include and be aware of. So the first step, and what I'm proposing, is potentially within 2 weeks. So before our next monthly meeting, either members of the team can come out with you at a time of your choosing and schedule a sit down to go over some of these maps. In the meantime, we can kind of give you PDFs of what we've prepared. We can probably also arrange, ultimately, I don't think we had in our scope of work, but if it should please the board, we can put this live app, or some version of it on our website, so people can kind of see the considerations that are here and we can distill them. But that's this next meeting with the CRA, this workshop that we had proposed, is meant to be a launch pad to the community meeting, and then that is meant to be a launch pad for public approval. And this is kind of where we're going that, this identifies where we're going. And, what the first CRA workshop would be about. So redevelopment area options, maps that show walking distance, public ownership, existing access points, easements and roadways, land use zoning, environmental constraints, status on the website development, and goals and objectives of this plan. Given what we're looking at, what we're trying to do, goals and objectives that can ultimately be weighed to the plan as it's developed in the future. And additional considerations for amenities and public access points. What are the pushes and pulls and considerations? That's kind of the agenda that we're proposing for you. And this agenda would be similar, a facsimile of what we would be doing in a public forum. And some form of curated discovery with members of the town, as you recommend. So this is kind of where we're at this point. And what we would hope to do is sometime, around the middle of June, before the next CRA progress meeting, be able to sit down with you. So this is kind of what we wanted to tour today. And any questions you may have, Sarah or Rosemary, if you wanted to add anything to that. No.
I'll ask the members of the agency, starting with Bob, if he has any questions, comments on this. We'll kind of go around on here.
Yeah, my question would be, do you have any kind of a bathymetric overlay for the pond itself to go along with that GIS map?
I'm sorry, say that again. Yeah, bathymetry.
Bathymetric?
I do believe we do.
Depths, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I do believe we have. I'm not sure how aged it is, but from our dam study, I don't think it's georeferenced and that we can lay it on top of. It might be possible that we can kind of analog stretch it over the map, but that is a good, so.
Yeah, even a side by side, you can put a kayak in less than 12 inches of water. You can't do that with a bass boat.
Right, exactly. Yes. So I will look into our database, but I'm pretty certain we have that. But I would say this, given I have to look at when it was taken, right? Because a lot of variability in depths. Well, yeah, so that's something that we will add.
Yeah, and it's a, nobody's going to expect, is it 28 inches or 29 inches?
Yes,
1 foot, 2 foot, 5 foot, what's the depth?
Yeah, we'll definitely look at the contours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think this is great. Thanks so much for sharing. I absolutely agree. We should have this posted on the website when it's available. The more information for the public, the better. Is it possible, in addition to this worksheet, to have just a one-pager that could show us what is currently accessible to the public?
Yeah.
And you mentioned a few of those, like the Zeke's Bridge location. It would be helpful to have maybe a one-pager that says, Zeke's Bridge, you could put a boat on, you could put kayaks on.
Right.
And another location is great for fishing, or another location is great for enjoying the natural habitat. I think it would help our agency and the town for us to have something like that to post even on the town website or on social media for people to get an idea of, here are the current access points and the access points that the town has already worked diligently to put together. Since
Is there, by the way, to that point, is there anything, at least on its face, that, obviously there are not a lot of them, but you think we're missing?
The only thing is, I know the piece behind the Public Works dog pound that the Public Works Department has cleaned that up.
Yeah.
I believe they put some trash receptacles. I don't know, the town manager's in the room. I don't know if they removed that no access point sign. So they did. So that's all been taken care of, Kevin. That is ready for access today.
Okay, but it's ready for access, but not prepped for like it's cleared, right? It's kind of rough and ready. There's not a parking service there, but if somebody did want to pull up a trailer and launch a
There is no boat launch access. It's walking in, the walking path is here.
a walking path.
They could park behind where the dog pound is and walk right there. So there is a parking and access there.
Yeah,
And
Rosemary, I
that's
think-
what would be helpful on that one pager, so that we can describe to the public what is available currently and what type of availability it is. Is it for kayaks? Is it for, enjoying fishing, et cetera? I think that would be helpful to our entire agency
Okay.
in the
What
town.
the nature of, and I tell you what, we could, because we did go out and do recon, so we could supplement that with an appendix, and as the board so chooses, that it could have photos of the access, but we'll absolutely summarize that, identify the nature of the access, those spaces, and we'll pass that, to the board in advance, obviously, before we post anything, see if it's sufficient. And I think Rosemary and Sarah, we could certainly have that, at least in 5, maybe at the end of next week. Because we already have all the pieces. I asked Walt, our GIS guy, to prepare like a base map here. But yeah, so what I think we'll do here is we'll make it a two-sider, and we'll have a summary of as you requested, the existing access, that's present there and the type of access. So yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you.
No.
And I don't know, while I have a comment, there's that other piece that we just on Northrop Plat. I don't know if that's clarity yet. It's something we include in this, or if that's still a little bit vague. Okay. Caitlin, do you have anything?
Thank you so much. Would it be possible to get this deck sent to us in the interim?
Yeah, 100%. Well, as soon as we're off the meeting, we'll send you a PDF version of this, so it's easy to distill.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Anything else for the GZA group?
Oh, and the one question I had, and I had discussed this with Stephen, was is everybody fine with Johnson Pond RD, or would you rather have Johnson's Pond redevelopment plan in full.org? The idea is this would be added to a link to the town website. So, and generally when we put these in, if somebody just types in Johnson's Pond, the URL is going to pop up. So I don't think the link is a big issue, but we wanted to make sure we put something that was, at least generally acceptable, given the number of letters that could be present. Does anybody have an opinion?
The shorter, the better. I think that sounds fine. Would everyone agree with that? Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Take care.
Moving on, section 6.1, reappointment of the resident attorney. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion
I'll second.
to reappoint
Stephen Angel?
Stephen Angel as our resident attorney.
Is it Stephen Angel, or do we have what you practice in?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Point you or the name of the firm?
For the motion.
Actually, you just need to approve the resolution. It's in the resolution that it would be the firm and me.
That's the motion Chris made. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? Clerk, take the roll.
Member Grenier?
Yes.
Member Brennan?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Shula?
Yes.
Chairman Larson?
Yes.
Four in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Readoption affirmation of the current agency bylaws. We need a motion.
Make that motion.
Caitlin?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Clerk, could you take the roll?
Member Grenier?
Yes.
Member Brennan?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Schuler?
Yes.
Chairman Larson?
Yes.
Four in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Moving on to item 7. This is informational only. Stephen Riley had submitted some documentation back to the town council in April, and there was a reference to the letter to the Coventry Redevelopment Agency, so that's why it's included in this packet. That's an informational. Also included, there was a resignation that was received from James Taro, accepted that resignation, and the applications are out for the course of action for a replacement through the town council process. Informational only. Next, can we have a motion to adjourn into executive session?
I'll make the motion that we adjourn into executive session.
I'll second.
Motion made second, and we're going to adjourn in executive session.
Mr. Chairman, the motion is for the agency to convene an executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-4 and Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A5 for discussion and consideration related to the acquisition or lease of real property for public purposes or of the disposition of publicly held property with wherein advanced public information would be detrimental to the interests of the public and any possible action related thereto.
Thank you for clarifying. So we're adjourned to executive session.
Member Grenier?
Yes.
Member Brennan?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Chula? Chairman Larson?
Yes.
Four in the affirmative, zero in the negative, motion passes.
come out of executive session.
Motion made.
I'll second.
Session, roll call.
Member Grenier?
Yes.
Member Brennan?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Schuler?
Yes.
Chairman Larson?
Yes.
Four in the affirmative, zero in the negative, motion passes.
Need to announce that no votes were taken in executive session.
No votes were taken.
And you'll need a motion to seal the minutes of executive session.
We need a motion that no votes were taken? Just announce that no votes were taken in executive session. A motion to seal the minutes of the executive session.
I'll
Make,
make, motion. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We take a roll.
Member Grenier?
Yes.
Member Brennan?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Schuler?
Yes.
Chairman Larson?
Yes.
Four in the affirmative, zero in the negative, motion passes.
Next motion is to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second it.
Meeting adjourned. 6:11. We'll go anywhere.